Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, dear students. I've been taking a few of the poems which are prescribed in your BA course. Today, I'll be taking another poem by Toru Dutt Baugmaree. Now, I would like to introduce you to Toru Dutt by telling you that Toru Dutt is one of the, you can say, the English poets in India who is seen to be, in fact, amongst, rather, I would say, one of the first ones of the Indians who wrote in English. She was born on March 4th, 1856, in Calcutta, and critical appreciations of her poems was given, in fact, after 100 years after her death. She was not recognized when she was writing poems in her lifetime, but it was much, much later on that she was recognized as a poet, poetess rather, I would say. And she had one brother and one sister, Aru. She was very greatly attached to her sister, Aru. And her father, Govind Dutt, he encouraged the introspective ideas and the intelligence that the two sisters had. And this was, in fact, I would say, a rarity at that time, especially because when the girls were married away in their young ages. But he encouraged them to study and have a deep knowledge of education. She had resided in England and the family had adopted Christianity. But despite that, her mother had given her the knowledge of Hindu mythology, which really helped her in understanding her own culture. In fact, while she was staying in Britain, she had made many friends in Britain. And one of her closest friends was Mary Martin, and both of them could associate with each other, communicate with each other, and had that intellectual space which really, you can say, promoted her, or rather promoted Toru Dutt's career as a poetess. And this poem, Bogmary, which I'm going to talk to you, is a sonnet which was written in the year 1882, and it was published in, or rather taken from, Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan. This is a poem written in a lyrical style, and it is a sonnet, you can say, a sonnet having a rhyming scheme of a patriarchal sonnet in the beginning, that is octave, the first eight lines, and the last six lines are the sestet, the Shakespearean sestus. So the first eight lines, like A B A B B A B B A C D C D, and then E E. Why this poem was given the name Bogmary? Now, Bogmary is a name that was given to the garden of Toru Dutt's family, which was located on the outskirts of Calcutta. And she was enamored by the beauty of the foliage, of the greenery, and the flowers that were surrounding that outskirt. And she says, the very beginning of the poem, she says, "A sea of foliage girds our garden round, but not a sea of dull, unvaried green. Sharp contrasts of all colors here are seen. The light green, graceful tamarinds abound." Now, see, in the beginning, in the first two lines, you can say she is making a comparison of her garden with that of the British garden. Now, in Britain, she could see a uniform hue of green color, of green grasslands, the green landscapes. But here she is talking about the variety of the different hues of the foliage that you could see in the garden. It is not only covered by the green grass, but the flowers that are interspersed in between and the trees that are there in between, they give a rich texture and a variety and a beauty to the whole garden. Because she says Sharp contrast of all colors here are seen. Sharp contrast. Now you can say in contrast, it is not only one green hue that you can see all around you, but in sharp contrast, that is in contrast to that green color, you can see the all the different multicolors that you can find in the garden. And amongst those are the light green graceful tamarins. Now, the graceful tamarind tree, she describes the tamarind tree by giving it a beauty and giving it a slender, stealthy look by calling it graceful. Graceful tamarind tree. Now, you all know what a tamarind is. Tamarind is imili, isn't it? That imili tree that you see in the garden, it is standing very gracefully, in humility, it is standing. Amid the mango clumps of green papaun, and on the other side, you find the clumps of mango hanging on the mango tree with the huge texture of green leaves that are abounding on that particular tree. And palms arise like pillars gray. And in between, or rather on the sides or on the outskirts, you see the great palm trees, tall and straight. They are like pillar is straight, you know. So, in the same way, these palm trees are tall and straight and gray. Why? Because palm trees are always gray in color with the green branches of leaves that abound. And then over the quiet pools the seamers lean, red. Now in between the green foliage and the tamarind tree on the one hand, and the green mango clumps of mangoes that are hanging, the yellow mangoes that are hanging on the mango trees, in between is the red seamer flowers. Seamal, she says, red. Now, see the significance of the red color that intervenes in between that green and the gray. She says, red, and startling like a trumpet sound that it has, and the interspersing of these red seamals, they are compared to the disconcerting sound of a trumpet. Now, when does the trumpet blow? The trumpet always seems to blow when you are announcing or rather making an announcement of the arrival of a war. That is the beginning of the war. But here the trumpet is giving the shocking impact of the different flowers that you see around you. On the one hand is, of course, the tamarind tree. On the other side are the tall, straight palms and the seamers in between. But suddenly you see, you have an impact, a shocking impact of the flowers around you. And that is like the resounding of the trumpet. And nothing can be lovelier than the ranges of bamboos to the eastward. And she says the prettiest thing is nothing can be lovelier, that is, nothing can be more beautiful, more enchanting than the whole row of bamboo. Bamboos are also slender, straight trees, and they're all standing in one single row. So, on the east side, you see a whole row of the bamboo trees. When the moon looks through their gaps, and the white lotus changes into a cup of silver. But at the same time, she doesn't refrain from talking about the ray of moonlight that is intervening, that is falling on the lotus flower. Now, the lotus, she signifies it as giving it a silver, making it a silver cup, because the flower, it's with all its leaves unfolding. They form like a cup. And the rays of moonlight that are falling on that white lotus, it's giving it a silvery look. So that adds a beauty to the whole atmosphere and to the whole garden and to the whole foliage also that is surrounding it. One might swoon. Lastly, she says, one might swoon, that is, one might faint with the in the memory, or with the you can say with that shocking enchantment of the beauty that is having an impact upon your senses. How it is unnerving. You are being unnerved in your senses with the beauty of those flowers, with the shocking moonlight, the rays of the moonlight that are falling on that white lotus flower. So one might swoon, drunken with beauty. वही होता है ना? Like you can say when you are too intoxicated. When you are over drunk, then you are too much intoxicated. And what does the intoxication does? It makes you faint. It makes you swoon. So in the same way, you have drunk the beauty of the atmosphere and of the flowers to such an extent that you are almost in a state of fainting. So here you can say, I mean, when Toru Dutt is in a way, giving a sensuous appreciation of the whole environment and of the whole garden. So her sensuousness can be compared to the odes of John Keats. And finally, she says, drunkard with beauty then, or gaze and gaze on the primeval Eden in amaze. Gaze and gaze, that is staring away without taking your eyes off that particular beauty. You are struck by the ethereal. She calls it the primeval Eden. Eden is that garden, that ethereal garden, the eternal garden of heaven she's talking about. So she says the eternal beauty of the surroundings. And in this way, this is also showing the poetess's religious bent of the mind. So this short sonnet, lyrical sonnet, talks about the beauty of the garden, and at the same time, in a way, she is trying to make a comparison of the gardens that she had witnessed in Britain to the gardens that she has seen in India in her particular surroundings. And even though they had adopted Christianity, she says that she found the effect of the English community upon the Hindu people and upon the Hindu society, and especially upon her Bengali relatives, very unnerving. But at the same time, and when she was present, when Toru Dutt was here in India, she was, and when she started writing poetry, that was a prime time when, the colonial power was at its very sheen. I mean, it was, and the nationalistic fervor was coming up to a great extent. And at this, but, she despised the colonial power that was there in India at that time, that is before independence, you can say. But at the same time, she does not deny that the Britishers that she met, or the British friends that she had in England, were much, much better. And they were very warm and very friendly and very sweet in comparison to the Britishers who were found in India, who were politically motivated to establish their power out here in India. You can say that, and in fact, Mary, her friend, had a great influence upon her, and she had made many friends in Britain as well as in France. She had visited France, and she was very much taken in by the literary tradition of France also, and especially at the time of the Romantic movement, when it was prevalent in the 19th century. And that is why you can say that she does not deny the influence of the Britishers upon her, and she at the same time accepts that whatever the sweetness and whatever the goodness that she inherited in her own self can also be due to the fact that she had a very congenial environment while she was staying in Britain. And this particular poem can also have many other interpretations. And one of the interpretations is is a nationalistic interpretation, which is related to the tricolor scheme in the poem. That in the beginning is the green foliage, when she's describing the green grass as interspersed with the varied hues. And then in between, in the middle, is the red simul flowers. And lastly, the silver moonlight that falls on the white lotus. So green, red, and white, gives nationalistic interpretation of the tricolor scheme of the flag of India. So it can be interpreted in that way also. But this is a simple sonnet, very nicely written by Toru Dutt, giving image through the images that she has given in the poem, shows the beauty of nature. Thank you so much.